Hi everybody, and welcome to my newest video in my series about my game Battle for Antares, which I'm going to release on Steam in a couple of weeks once it's done. As you know, in this series I would like to walk you through all the individual components of the game, how everything works under the hood, how I've accomplished things. And in this particular video I would like to show you around the main menu itself. How I do all these camera transitions. For example, when you click this new game button, the camera moves over here and all these widgets change accordingly. Today, like I said, I would like to show you how I handled that under the hood and how that works. So essentially, the level itself is a pretty simple scene. So you have this planet over here, you have the star over here with some additional visual effects. And you do have this camera up here, this third camera up here. All of these cameras do have specific tags. So this one is called camera begin, this one is called camera star, and this one is called camera Antares. So they are properly positioned where I want them to be. And now I need to keep track and references of which camera positions and which widgets belong together. So I have this widget transitions structure here, which allows me to specify the respective widget and in and out transitions, so animations, and also the respective camera actor that I want to use for that. So one of the widgets, for example, one of the widgets is, for example, this where is the main menu widget. One of that is, for example, this big widget here, which is the main menu. But there is also this Galaxy game config dialog, which is essentially the one that you see here with where you can configure the AI and your player and Galaxy settings and stuff. They come with this respective animation, so these are just the animations that you see. Also the main menu does have this fade in and fade out animations being defined. So that's pretty straightforward, I would say. And now what I do when I create the main menu state, I need to set up everything properly. So there are a couple of things happening here. Here, this one is really strange. I must have made something wrong in when I configured this game state, because apparently for me this begin play event is never executed. I don't know why. Something I must have done wrong. So essentially I hook this whole thing up to the tick function and just make sure that it's only executed once. That's a messy workaround. I don't know exactly what I did wrong, but it works. Anyway, so what happens is that here, when one of the first things I do is I load the save game from the last run, if there's any, which is essentially responsible for making sure that the screen resolution stays consistent, and whether if you have disabled post-processing, for example, and all that is stored and stuff. So that's straightforward, I would say. I can discuss that later. But now here what happens is I need to get all these cameras. Remember, all these cameras have dedicated tags. So here I can search for all the actors with a respective tag: camera star, camera Antares, and camera begin. And I know that there's only exactly one of these, so I just get the very first element of each array, and that gives me the respective camera actors. And I want, when you start the game, I want the camera position to be in this camera begin position, which is this camera up here. So I want to start here. So I set my view target with a 0 blend time, meaning that the engine immediately transitions to that camera, and I right away set another view target with a dedicated blend time to the camera star, which is essentially this camera over here. So the engine will start here with this camera being turned on, and it will do a smooth transition to that camera within 5.75 seconds. Okay, so that's pretty much this one. Here I also start the background music for the main menu. So that's probably that part. What I do now is I do fill these widget transitions structures. Yeah, so essentially I create the main menu widget, which is this one, and I add it to an internal array. I do the same for this game config dialog, which is this one that you've seen here, this one. And I also do the same for the settings window, which allows you to control screen resolution and stuff, and also the confirm screen widget, which is popping up when you do screen resolution change and the user needs to confirm that. I can show you that here. So when you click the settings button, then everything transitions to this screen, and when you then change something and click on accept, for example, then it asks you whether you want to confirm these changes. I can discuss how that is handled in another video. But essentially, these are the 4 widgets that this main menu is composed of, and all of them are created here in these in this begin function essentially, and they are added. I have this macro here, where essentially I allow myself to this just makes sure that all these widgets are added to the viewport and that they are initially hidden, and then I just add them, or I create this perspective this structure here, and I add them to this key value map, which allows me to reference these screens by just by simple names, by strings. Yeah, so each of these screens have a unique name. This one is called main, this one is called game, this one is called settings, and this one is called confirm. And this allows me to handle these transitions from everywhere in the game, right? Okay. So now I have all these screens created, all these widgets are created, all of them are added to the viewport, but none of them are visible, right? So because this add widget function makes sure that all of them are essentially hidden, so nothing is visible. And what I need to do is I need to transition to one screen, main in this case. So I want the game to start at this main screen here. And this transition screen event is designed in such a way that I can call it from everywhere, and it handles the transition from the current screen to the next one, right? So transition screen itself is up here. What I need to do is I need to remember the next key I want to transition into. And now, what I first need to do is I need to see if out of all these widgets, this key value map, out of all these widgets, find the one with the respective key which I want to transition to, and get me the respective camera position which is defined for that screen. If this is valid, then I set up this blending between the current camera position, and this new view target. If it is not valid, because the screen does not have a dedicated camera defined, we just do nothing, so we just stay at the current camera. That's that part. And now what I need to do is I need to see for the current screen, the one which is currently selected, get me the respective widget, and if it's valid, then go up here. In the very beginning of the game, when there's no screen selected, then this will fail, and so because current screen will be null, so that widget will not be defined, and then I will immediately transition over to this branch here. But after the very first call to this function, the current screen is always well defined, so from here I will always go up in this branch, and where I check if the out transition is well defined. The out transition is a widget animation which you can define when you set up these widgets here. So for example, I'm not sure if any one of them uses that. No, in the beginning I had separate animations for fading in and fading out, but now all of them just use one single fade in animation. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I can show you that anyway. So if there is a fade out animation, if there is a dedicated transition out animation, then I would go up here and just play that particular animation. But since, like you've seen, there are no widgets which use that path anymore, all of them will fail going into this not valid branch. That's where I check if there is a dedicated in transition animation, and if that's the case, which is true for all of the widgets, I just play that animation I just play that respective animation here. But I play it reverse. So I just take, remember we're talking about the current visible screen, and if it does not have a dedicated out transition animation, then I see if there's an in transition, which fades in, and I just play that one reverse to make it the out transition. Once that is finished, so either this animation is finished or this one, depending on which one was played, or if I take this shortcut here because things are not well defined. So after this animation is done, essentially I end up here in this sequence where I just say where I just check if again for the current screen the widget is valid. If so, then I hide it. So I just hide the current screen. Because the fade out animation is done, there's no need to show it. Remember, this check here is needed because in the very first call, current screen is not defined. So I do this short pathing from here, short pathing, failing here, going up here, and I need to check again if this is valid. But for every time after that, it will be valid. So I hide the currently visible widget. And now I just need to find the next key again and see or make sure that I set the respective widget to visible. Remember the new current screen, so when I call it next time, I fade out this one, and if it does have a dedicated in transition, I just play that. Here I don't play the out transition in reverse order because that probably would not make sense. If there is no dedicated in transition, then just that screen would just appear immediately, right? And then just for debugging purposes, if I cannot find that key here, then I'm just debug printing something to the console to hint me that I made something wrong. So now this allows me to, from all different locations in the game, I can just call this transition screen function, and it makes sure to fade out the currently visible screen, and after the transition is properly played, it will play the fade in transition of the new screen and make it visible. There are a couple of design flaws which are okay for now. But if I want to make this kind of thing bigger in bigger games, then I would definitely need to work on those. One is that there is a chance that you call this, while this animation here is playing, you call this transition screen function again with a different screen, and then it's pretty much undefined behavior what happens here, or strange behavior. So I would need to check that, or if you need to make sure that while this stuff here is playing, you cannot call this again, by probably doing a gate here in the very beginning, and then once you end up here, I just open the gate again. That's something I could do. And another thing which is a little bit ugly, I must say, is that since all these widgets are created in the very beginning, I need to set up all the components in the very beginning, which is okay. But then there is no additional event getting out to these widgets when they become visible. That makes it tricky to keep them updated, right? Because now essentially I need to make sure that all widgets are properly updated all the time, even though they are probably not really visible, because I simply don't know, the widgets don't know if they are visible or not. So the one thing which I would definitely add for more complex games is to add some event dispatchers here as well, where I can register events for the widget becoming visible or becoming non-visible, probably even some kind of confirmation event or confirmation call where I first ask the widget whether it is okay to transition away. That could be useful for confirm dialogues or something, or in general dialogues where the user enters some stuff, and before you can transition away, you need to verify that all the entries are correct or stuff. So that's for more complex games, I would need to put into some more thought into this, but pretty much that's how it's currently handled. So I hope that was somewhat interesting for you, some useful information. If you have questions or want to learn something else, just let me know, shoot me a message, leave a comment down below. Then I'm sure I can focus dedicated videos on these topics as well. Other than that, I would like to thank you again for listening, and then see you next time. Goodbye.